Okay, so yesterday was full moon. Today's Saturday night. There's 1 month left in the formal rains retreat, the Vassa period. So just encourage everyone to you pay attention to the formal practice, formal meditation. It's kind of with a month left, and traditionally the rains retreat is a time of focusing on formal practice. Although being here in the northern hemisphere, then it's our summertime, but we still have time for personal retreat and retreat as a group, and whatever the case, it's just essential to that the meditation is a really central part of our training. Of course, the path that the Buddha laid down is a path of sila, of moral training, moral conduct, meditation, and wisdom, discernment. But that mental development, the training of the mind directly, is really important. Because it's without a clear mind, then it's hard to. This path really works. It's integral. It's integrated. It's integral. It works together, and but without a clear mind, it's easy to get confused in terms of precepts, or we get get swept up in either doubt or confusion about our intentions, and the aspect of wisdom and discernment is easily thrown off track when our mind is not clear. So that the formal side of practice is quite important to be you create the habit of the meditation on a daily basis, and and we learn how to integrate the meditation and the mental training into the other aspects of the path. But it's important to pay attention. And one of the things that is an important piece of the mental training, meditation, is the understanding and freeing the mind, or at least bringing into an abeyance the 5 hindrances. These are. This is a classical theme to be addressing, but it's something that is. We have to keep revisiting over and over again in order to help the mind to be to be clear. And there's an idiom in the suttas when the Buddha refers to the 5 hindrances. There are these hindrances that these qualities that overwhelm awareness and weaken discernment, weaken our wisdom. It's just there. That's what they do. So that we have to be alert and diligent in recognizing what actually is a hindrance, and to be able to to free the mind, or at least, as I said, to bring the hindrance into abeyance. The Buddha also gives an image of the say the hindrances. Well, one is the sort of the 5 hindrances are sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and skeptical doubt. Those are the 5 hindrances. They're called nivarana in Pali. And the Buddha refers to them, or gives an image from in comparison with gold. So in the sense of gold is always considered a beautiful metal that can be made into jewelry, ornaments, adornments. But when gold is mixed with other substances like iron, copper, tin, lead, silver, it makes it lose its luster and lose its malleability. And then the Buddha compares in the same way the mind in its fundamental nature, when it is purified, is lustrous. It's bright. It's malleable, and can be applied to any purpose that we wish. But when these 5 hindrances are present, then the mind becomes, loses its malleability, loses its luster, loses its clarity, and on a certain level loses its value. We devalue the beauty of the mind by kind of acquiescing or not recognizing these hindrances, so that the Buddha is encouraging us to be really diligent in recognizing when they're present, and then being diligent in relinquishing them, or finding ways to free the mind from it. Because when we do that, then that enhances our awareness, and it strengthens our discernment, or it strengthens our wisdom. So just being attentive to this fundamental aspect of training. And with the hindrance of, the different hindrances. When the Buddha points to their drawbacks, there's in different suttas he gives different kinds of similes, but the one that sticks in my mind right in this moment is the hindrance. Say, for the hindrance of sensual desire, the Buddha compares it to being in debt, having taken out a loan, and then we lose our freedom, and there is a sense of being being in debt. It's hard to be comfortable. It's hard to be at ease, and in this simile and a series of similes, what the Buddha points to is the drawback and the burden that the hindrance places on the mind. But in the same way that when one pays off the loans free of debt, then one feels happy. There's a happiness and ease that is a natural result, and so when one does relinquish sensual desire, when one's not bound by sensual desire, there is a happiness and ease that one experiences that is really natural. In the same way, it's like when people so many people in the present time in America are really burdened by student loans, and you can imagine what it feels like to finally pay off a student loan. I mean, there's been quite a few people who have come to Abhayagiri who are really keen on taking ordination and coming and training in the monastic form, and then they find out that one of the rules is you can't ordain if you've got loans, if you're in debt, and student loans are so that there has been people who have left Abhayagiri, gone off and worked and paid off their loans and just been come back and just really feeling like the incredible burden's been lifted off their heart and able to take on training and take on the monastic form. So yeah, this happiness is a direct result of freeing the heart from the hindrances, and sensual desire being one of them. Ill will, similarly, it burdens the mind, burdens the heart. Being tied to moods of anger, irritation, getting upset over things, and it's just because it clouds the mind. The Buddha compares it to being and having an illness, having a fever. When one is really ill and burning up with fever, you can't think straight. I mean, I can remember. I mean, I've had all sorts of various illnesses, but comes to mind in this illustration, with malaria and burning up with fever. You're burning up with fever, and of course you're shaking because you feel so cold, and then just clarity is not a feature of of the mind, and I can. Ajahn Pasanno tells a story of when I was. It was hot season, and I'm in my kuti, sort of burning up with fever and shaking, and I'm wrapped up in a blanket, and they come and knock on my call out from my kuti to get me. There's somebody wandered into the monastery completely naked, and there's obviously not quite in their right mind. So first thing to do, okay, go and get the Ajahn. Which so I come down and I deal with the situation, and then I go back to my kuti and continue my shaking and fever. But I have no recollection of that. I only know this story because Ajahn Pasanno tells it. So that this is the. You would think it would stick in the mind, but that's the nature of a hindrance. It overwhelms awareness and weakens discernment, so you just can't see clearly. You can't think clearly. That's what anger does. Ill will just taints the mind completely. So when the fever breaks, or when the illness goes away, it's a tremendous feeling of happiness and relief that the mind experiences. So it's just working with the hindrances, paying attention to how to let these things go, to not hang on to them. Or not to feed them, not to encourage them, not to support them. Because we do that with all of the hindrances are actually supported by what the Buddha calls, I'd say, unwise attention. So you pay unwise attention to the say an object of aversion, and you get swept up in the mood of ill will, of getting upset, getting angry, getting irritated, and that is say an improper use of attention. That ayoniso manasikara, just unwise attention. So that just learning how to keep directing wise attention to that which is going to nurture and support states of mind that are clear, that are peaceful, that are bright, that are associated with well-being. So that especially in terms of the hindrance of ill will, then you're paying attention to things that foster quality of loving kindness. Not feeding, not buying into, not fanning the flames of ill will, because it is a hindrance. It is a nivarna. The third hindrance that the Buddha points to is the hindrance of sloth and torpor. and he compares it to being in prison, being stuck in a cell somewhere, and being incarcerated and losing one's freedom, and that's very much what the mind feels like when it's overwhelmed by. I mean, sloth and torpor is a bit of a sort of old Edwardian English that is might not be so familiar to people, but I think just that it's like stagnation and dullness, the mind stagnating, getting dull, and losing its sharpness, losing its clarity, or relinquishing it, oftentimes willingly, because that's sometimes with say kind of a sleepiness, drowsiness as one's meditating. It doesn't feel so bad. So, and it's easy to drift into dullness and just get to sink with it. And so it's but as one sinks, one is then a prisoner of that sinking. One is so that one loses loses one's freedom. So the paying attention to bringing energy to the mind, bringing alertness to the present moment, bringing alertness to the object of attention. Not getting too, because I mean there's a necessity of repeating a task over and over again, paying attention to the in-breath and the out-breath, paying attention to a reflection on impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, and repeating a attention on say 32 parts of the body, or the loving kindness meditations. You're repeating the attention, but it's really important that one doesn't just sink into a mindless repetition, and because then the mind starts to kind of shut down, and doesn't stay alert, doesn't stay present. It's this sense of being aware that one can lose the edge to attention, and drift into dullness, and then the hindrance takes over. So it's just one has to be reminding oneself to be alert, to be present. And on a certain level, that's, say, the function of mindfulness. I mean, one of the the Pali word mindfulness is sati, and its root is in, say, the sati is in the same root as sanya, so which is memory, recollection, remembering to be present, remembering to be alert, remembering to do the practice. And as one does that, then there's a brightness that comes to to the heart, and there's a clarity that comes. And with that, there's a tremendous well-being. It just feels good to be clear and present, whereas dullness just never feels satisfying. The hindrance of restlessness and worry, this where the mind is sort of spinning out with proliferation, spinning out with plans for the future, spinning out with rehashing whatever happened in the past, spinning out with speculation on whatever, how things might be, how things could be, how things should be, and it's just is the mind is not settling, and it's not giving itself to the present moment. It's not giving itself to the experience. It's sort of skipping over, and so that there's this restless energy that's constantly seeking something else. It's not content. It's not happy. It doesn't feel replete. So it keeps on edge, and what the in the image, the simile that the Buddha gives, he says it's as if one were a slave, or a bondservant, or a penury. Just like this, one is tied to the whims of somebody else. One has no freedom. One is tied to the whims and the commands of something external to one, somebody external, and so that there's that sense of learning how to establish a clarity of intention, paying attention to what is it that leads to a sense of contentment. What is it that leads to a sense of well-being, being at ease with this present moment, this particular circumstance, this body, this mind. It's one has to apply a certain clarity and to sustain that. So otherwise, it just gets this sense of restlessness, worry, agitation, overtakes the mind, overwhelms awareness and weakens discernment. It's the last hindrance that the Buddha points to is a skeptical doubt, where one is both in terms of kind of having this sense of uncertainty, but it's also like wavering, can't quite commit to something, can't quite make up one's mind to something. Maybe it should be this, maybe it should be that, maybe it should, and it goes on and on and on, and it's so difficult to settle the mind. But there is a kind of doubt and uncertainty, and the image that the Buddha gives is as if one were traveling through a desolate wilderness, and kind of fraught with danger, and one is is never quite at ease or settled. And of course, the result, one is able to pass through that desolate wilderness, get to one's goal, reach the destination safely with one's goods intact. Then there's tremendous happiness. It's just a natural result. So that the paying attention to doubt. So often we try to think our way out of doubt, and that's usually not such a great solution, because we say we're already doubting, and whatever we think about, you will start to doubt about. Doubt its efficacy, doubt if it's right or wrong, because that's what doubt is. Is this right? Is it wrong? Should I do this? Should I do that? What's the proper course of action here? And I thought for myself, I found a good counterpoint to doubt, because I certainly had my share of doubts, was mindfulness of the body, coming back rather than trying to figure it out on an intellectual basis. Really return to the body, establish a continuity of mindfulness in the body, get a solid anchor for the mind, so that there's a strong degree of clarity and consistency of awareness, and you find that the doubts sort of fall away because of that. They don't have the same foothold anymore. So it's one is learning to how to pay wise attention to this present moment, and not get swept away by that kind of wavering and uncertainty, doubting tendencies that we might have. And there is a tremendous sense of happiness when the mind becomes settled and clear, and things start to look a bit more reasonable. So this attention to these 5 hindrances is a really helpful tool for developing the practice, not just the meditation practice, and of course it's essential for the meditation practice, but it's not something that you wait to do just in the say when you're sitting in formal meditation, but pay attention to these hindrances as you go about your daily life, when you go about performing chores, when you are interacting with people. Learning how to identify those habits of mind that trip us up and create problems for us, because that's what is actually happening. Is we get different problems and difficulties come up, and how do we respond to them? So and if we're responding out of desire or aversion or dullness, those are not great responses. It's not a really working solution that is going to give good support for our ongoing practice. So this paying attention to the way out of these hindrances is a important part of laying a solid foundation for the practice, for the training. It's an essential piece. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.